14. Real cases, stories of ordinary people and ESP. 14.1 Introduction, the importance of personal testimonies. If there's one universal truth, it's that stories have unmatched power. Through storytelling, cultures have passed on wisdom, shared experiences, and woven the fabric of the human fabric for generations. And in a field as fascinating and mysterious as that of extrasensory perceptions, ESP, personal testimonies serve as a bridge between mystery and understanding, offering insight into people's real experiences. Each individual has a unique story to tell, and when it comes to ESP, these stories can range from fleeting, hard-to-explain experiences to profound, transformative episodes. For example, there are those who report having heard that a loved one was in danger, even if they were thousands of miles away. Others describe sensations or dreams so intense and precise that they cannot be dismissed as mere coincidences. Incorporating these personal testimonials into a discussion about ESP is essential for several reasons. First, they offer a real, tangible context to what might otherwise appear to be an abstract or esoteric concept. While science does its best to study and quantify phenomena like ESP, it is through personal stories that we can actually feel and, in some way, experience what these people have been through. Furthermore, the individual stories offer a plurality of perspectives. ESP is not monolithic, manifests itself in many different ways and through a myriad of experiences. Some may have telepathic experiences, while others may have premonitory visions. And some of these experiences may challenge our traditional conceptions of time, space, and reality. There is also intrinsic value in sharing and hearing these stories. For those who have had ESP experiences, telling their stories can offer a form of validation. In a society that is often skeptical about paranormal phenomena, being able to share openly can be liberating. Likewise, for those who listen, these stories can offer comfort, curiosity, or even a challenge to one's beliefs. But beyond mere storytelling, it's vital to approach these stories with a sense of curiosity and openness. And as we immerse ourselves in these personal experiences, it's also important to consider how they intertwine with our broader understanding of ESP and the broader implications for the nature of reality itself. Concluding this introductory segment, we get ready to explore a specific aspect of ESP, premonitory visions. These experiences, often manifested through dreams or sensations, present a scenario in which future events are perceived before they occur. Through a series of stories, we will try to better understand the nature of these visions and what they can reveal to us about the intersection of time, perception, and reality. 14.2 Premonitory visions, dreams that come true. In the vast universe of extrasensory perceptions, premonitory experiences occupy a prominent place, fascinating and baffling at the same time. These moments, when the veil of time seems to lift to reveal a piece of the future, are fascinating puzzles. These are not mere déjà vu or random coincidences, but detailed glimpses of events that, incredibly, manifest themselves later. Take, for example, the case of Clara, a middle-aged woman who dreamed one night that she was walking in an unfamiliar country, under a menacingly stormy sky. He found himself in front of a specific blue-colored farmhouse. A few months later, during an unexpected trip, Clara found herself in that precise place, in front of that house, just as she had dreamed. The sensation was eerie, as if he had already lived that moment. Or there is the story of Marco, who had a sudden vision of a childhood friend he hadn't seen for years. In his vision, the friend wore a specific sweater and told him important news. Surprisingly, a few days later, Marco received a call from this friend, who gave him exactly that news, and in a subsequent video call, he was wearing the sweater Marco had seen in his vision. These episodes raise a number of fundamental questions. How is it possible that someone can get a preview of a future event? What does this say about the concept of time and our perception of it? And, perhaps most intriguing, what are the neural or spiritual mechanisms underlying these experiences? Many researchers have theorized that time, as we perceive it, may not be linear. Some theories suggest that the past, present, and future coexist on a sort of time continuum. If this were true, then the premonitory visions could represent moments where we briefly tune into a different frequency of time. However, regardless of theories and explanations, these experiences have a profound impact on those who experience them. Often, those who have had premonitory visions have changed significantly, becoming more open to spirituality, more aware of their intuitions, and, in some cases, developing greater trust in the flow of life. In conclusion, while premonitory visions remain one of the most fascinating aspects of ESP, they are only one of the many manifestations of this phenomenon. Continuing our journey, we will focus on another amazing aspect of ESP, telepathy between parents and children. This unique and profound bond, often intensified by unseen connections, offers further testimony to the incredible capabilities of the human mind and soul. Telepathy between parents and children, invisible bonds. The relationship between a parent and a child is one of the most intense and indissoluble bonds that exist. This connection, which already begins in the womb, manifests itself in many ways, both physical and emotional. However, there are times when this link seems to go beyond the boundaries of ordinary perception, entering the realm of extrasensory connections. Consider the case of Sophia, a young mother who, while on a business trip away from home, felt unexplainable anguish. For no apparent reason, a sense of urgency and concern for her son overwhelmed her. Ignoring his commitments, he decided to anticipate his return home. When she arrived, she discovered that her son had had a minor domestic accident and was about to be taken to the hospital. Although it was nothing serious, Sophia's maternal instincts had guided her to her son just when he needed her most. Another example involves Alberto, father of a 3-year-old girl. One night, he awoke sweating and anxious from a dream in which his daughter called out to him. The next morning, he discovered that his daughter had been having a bad nightmare at the same time he had been dreaming about her. These episodes, among many others, demonstrate that there is a deep communication, perhaps telepathic, between parents and children. Scientists have tried to explain these experiences in various ways. Some suggest that the parent-child bond is so strong that it may facilitate some sort of extrasensory communication. Others believe that these episodes are the result of a deep emotional attunement, in which the parent is extremely sensitive to the child's needs and emotions, even from a distance. Beyond the scientific explanation, there is a spiritual or energetic dimension that many cultures recognize. These traditions hold that the love and connection between parents and children creates an energy channel that allows for the transmission of thoughts, emotions, and even warnings between them, especially in times of need or danger. What is certain is that these episodes reinforce the belief that there is something deeper and more mysterious in human nature, beyond simple biology or psychology. This deep connection and communication between parents and children is just one of many manifestations of the extrasensory abilities found in many people. In the next section, we'll delve into even more mysterious and controversial territory, near-death experiences and encounters with the afterlife. Touching on the very essence of human existence, these stories offer a unique perspective on the depths of extrasensory abilities and the interconnectedness of life, death, and what may exist beyond the veil. Encounters with the afterlife, experiences on the edge of death. Near-death experiences (ANDEs) are one of the most fascinating and mysterious phenomena in the field of psychic research. Those who have experienced an NDE often report intensely real sensations, visions of distant places, and encounters with departed loved ones. These accounts, while personal and unique, bear surprisingly many similarities to each other, regardless of the person's culture or religious background. Let's think of Marco, a 40-year-old doctor who, following a serious car accident, found himself suspended between life and death. He says he saw himself from above, out of his body, while rescuers were trying to revive him. Then, he found himself in a tunnel of light, at the end of which his missing grandparents and friends awaited him. They encouraged him to go back, pointing out that his mission on Earth was not over yet. Waking up in the hospital, Marco not only changed his perception of death, but also his approach to life and his profession, with a renewed passion and a deep sense of gratitude. Similarly, Julia, a young student, had a similar experience during a surgical operation. She saw herself floating above her body and felt an indescribable peace and love, as if she was wrapped in a warm embrace. She too described a luminous tunnel and an encounter with an amorphous figure who sent her a message of universal love. These tales, and many others like them, raise fundamental questions about the very essence of human existence, the afterlife, and the meaning of life and death. Scientists have tried to explain NDEs through various biological or neurochemical mechanisms, such as brain hypoxia or the release of certain substances in the brain. However, purely physical explanations often fail to account for the intensity and consistency of these experiences. While NDEs are undoubtedly personal and subjective experiences, the fact that they are so common and share similar themes across different cultures and countries suggests that they may offer a unique perspective on the human experience and the mystery of consciousness. They remind us that there is a realm beyond the physical reality we know, and that extrasensory abilities can be a bridge between the known and the unknown. In the next segment, we will explore another aspect of extrasensory abilities, clairvoyance and remote visions. These stories, which speak of the ability to see distant events and places without the use of the traditional senses, will offer us another glimpse into the incredible potential of the human mind and the infinite possibilities of psychic experience. Clairvoyance and remote visions, seeing beyond the present. The ability to perceive events, places, or people without using the traditional five senses has been documented in many cultures and across countless ages. This ability, which manifests itself in different ways, has fascinated scholars, the curious and those who have directly experienced such phenomena. Valeria, a middle-aged woman from Florence, tells of one night when, waking up in a sweat, she clearly saw an unfamiliar mountain village during a snowstorm. He could feel the cold and the wind, and he could clearly see a small house with a light on in the window. The next day, he saw on television a report of a blizzard that had hit a village in northern Italy. It was the same village he had seen in his vision. Similar episodes also occurred in different contexts. Antonio, a Sicilian fisherman, often heard where he should cast his nets for a fruitful catch, even when the surrounding waters seemed empty. His skill became legendary in his village, but to him it was simply a feeling that he couldn't explain. These gifts, however, are not always blessings. Elena, a schoolteacher from Milan, had to learn to deal with her sudden visions of future events, some of which were quite disturbing. Over the years, she has tried to understand and control this ability, using it to help others, but also trying to protect herself from times when the visions were too intensely emotional. These stories, which vary in their specificity, have common elements: the perception of information not accessible through standard sensory channels and the sensation that these visions are as real as the surrounding reality. Modern science has tried to investigate these phenomena through controlled experiments and rigorous research methods. While some findings are certainly intriguing, clairvoyance and remote visions remain largely a mystery. And, of course, not all people with these skills see them as gifts. Some struggle with what they perceive, trying to figure out if these visions are premonitions, mere coincidences, or perhaps echoes of past events. Others, like Antonio, accept these moments as part of their daily lives, an extension of their sensory experience rather than something supernatural. As we continue to explore the stories of those living with extrasensory abilities, it is important to note that these phenomena are not limited to the perception of distant or future events. In the next segment, we'll delve into the world of psychometrics, exploring how some people can read the history and emotions imprinted on objects, often revealing startling details about past events or unfamiliar people. From a forgotten ring on a bedside table to a yellowed letter, the stories that emerge from these everyday objects can be just as fascinating and enlightening as the broader visions of the future or the distant past. Psychometrics in everyday life, reading lost objects. In the vast world of extrasensory experiences, a particularly fascinating phenomenon is the ability of some people to glean information from inanimate objects, perceiving the stories, emotions, and even events associated with them. This phenomenon has taken on various denominations over the centuries, but one of the most common today is psychometry. Carla, a librarian from Bologna, tells of a time when, during a flea market, she was given an old diary. As soon as she picked it up, she was flooded with images and sensations. He saw a young woman writing on the sly, felt the anguish of her words, and sensed the challenges of a forbidden love. The diary apparently belonged to a woman who lived during World War II, and Carla was able to accurately describe details of her life, which were later confirmed by the seller, a relative of the deceased owner. Similarly, Marco, a restorer from Turin, often tells of how, during the restoration of antique furniture, he receives flashes of moments lived around those objects. An old wardrobe, for example, revealed to him the laughter of children playing hide and seek, while a dining room chair evoked the tensions of a tense family dinner. But it's not just the fascinating or dramatic stories that emerge. Sometimes, the information can be mundane or everyday, like the smell of a lemon cake associated with an old tablecloth or the sleepy feeling associated with a wool blanket. But regardless of the nature of the information, what is striking is the accuracy with which these people are able to describe details they would not have known otherwise. Several theories try to explain psychometrics. Some suggest that objects absorb the emotions and events around them, while others believe that people's energy becomes imprinted into the objects they have used or touched. Although science has not yet provided a definitive explanation, there is no doubt that many people around the world have demonstrated psychometric abilities convincingly and consistently. Psychometrics may also have practical applications. There have been instances where investigators have enlisted the help of psychometric individuals to obtain information about crimes through the personal belongings of victims. While these methods are still on the fringes of official investigation, the results have at times surprised by their accuracy. While psychometrics focuses on objects and the stories associated with them, other forms of extrasensory perception involve direct connection with the emotions and feelings of others. In the next segment, we will explore psychic empathy, a phenomenon in which individuals deeply feel the emotions of others, even if they have no direct connection or interaction with them. This powerful empathetic bond can lead to moments of deep understanding, but it can also be a challenge for those who experience it, as disentangling one's emotions from those of others can become complicated. Psychic empathy, feeling the emotions of strangers. The ability to perceive the emotions of others is a profoundly human phenomenon and found in many of us. However, there are those who experience this phenomenon so acutely and accurately that they feel the emotions of people unknown to them, as if they were their own. This intense and almost supernatural form of empathy goes far beyond the normal ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Let's take the case of Martina, a young teacher from Milan. From an early age, Martina realized that her emotional reactions did not always match what she was experiencing personally. While traveling on the subway, she may suddenly feel overwhelmed with sadness or anxiety, only to discover that someone nearby was crying or visibly upset. Over time, Martina learned to distinguish between her own emotions and those she received from others, but that didn't make the experience any less intense. If these stories touched your heart like they did ours, please subscribe and like them. Let's grow together and don't miss the next incredible testimonials. Thanks for being part of this adventure.